started. All right, welcome everyone. So what we're doing is our first practice breakthrough audit, and Dr. Vince, tribe coach, Dr. Vince, graciously offered to be the first participant in this. And I share that from the standpoint of, yes, I expect Vince to get the most value out of this, but in no way, shape, or form, if you're watching this and you're taking notes, so make sure you have like a blank sheet of paper and notes. I would already start putting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 checklist on the left. As I go through the audit with Vince, all of you should be doing it mentally in your own head for yourself, not just passively watching someone else's practice that has no bearing or impact on your life whatsoever. Even though we all practice differently, there are 80% overlaps. So everything I'm going to be going over with Vince when I get to the audit is going to be valuable if you apply it to your life. Now, the first half is literally just going to be Vince sharing what his practice is like, and that's going to be beneficial for everyone. We started doing that a year and a half ago in CEO Mastermind, and Vince was actually the first one to volunteer to share. Literally just seeing the ins and outs of another doc's practice and how they do what they do, their metrics, opens up your eyes and ears and the light bulbs to go on to realize, oh, if he could do it or if she could do it, why can't I? And so the first half, just exploring Vince's practice, is going to be very valuable to everyone. And then when we dive in to the audit, as long as you apply it to yours as much as possible, the whole goal here for Vince and for everyone on this call is finding what's the most primary constraint in your business that if that is worked on, if that is given more attention to, if that is fixed, everything gets easier. Now, we all have many areas to work on. That's the nature of any business. It's always got parts that are broken, and it's the practice of continually improving it. But there's oftentimes a one area that is a linchpin that makes everything just gets easier. And we do this because we all have blinders on in our own business, myself and Patient Mastery, and each one of you in your practices. So having outside perspective and going under the hood to identify what should be worked on is always most important. So I'm going to start off with spotlighting Vince and myself as well. Okay. And I just want to first start off with an overview of Vince's. I want to give credit where credit is obviously due. We're not doing this breakthrough audit with Vince because his practice is stuck and broken and can't get past a certain, lift off stage. Vince has a fabulous $1 million plus cash practice as one doctor, but it also wasn't always that way. And I want to give Vince a chance, and I'm going to do a brief overview of some of the milestones I know Vince has gone through in his career. Again, as a standpoint, as wherever you are, everything is changeable. And I'll share this because I know Vince has shared it publicly before, but before I ever met Vince has been in practice 20 plus years. He went through his toughest times in practice where literally, I believe it was Thanksgiving Day or Thanksgiving week, he got an eviction notice from his landlord because he wasn't keeping up with rent. So that he couldn't even do his base overhead. That was years ago. Fast forward, he got into Patient Mastery, had 1 or 2 associates at the time, 10 plus team members, maybe was doing close to $1 million in primarily all insurance, billing, and collections. However, was hardly taking home any money in profit. And it wasn't working. And even though on paper, on certain stats, it looked like the epitome, $1 million practice, the real numbers were not working out. And I give Vince so much credit for over the course of a year, learning the skills, staying part of the tribe to convert to cash, rework the workings of his practice, where he's now a solo doc with 4.5, I believe, team members, maybe 1 part-time, maybe 5 team members, and doing over $1 million all cash with incredibly strong 50% or so plus margins is a phenomenal transformation. And still putting his hat in the ring of, and I want to go through this audit to see what's next because he's not at the cap of what's his potential. Now, Vince, just on that brief, like 3 milestones of your career, any other things you'd like to fill in for those listening on your journey?
I think the big thing that comes to my mind right now is how much I was stuck in the high overhead, like with so many team, and it felt like I needed that many staff. Kind of like collections are here and overhead is here. So if I want to get more collections, I've got to get more overhead. And that's how I ended up with, 10 or more staff and a couple of associates um, and one associate had been with me for 8 years. So we're rewinding back to 2023. Nicest guy on the planet, just really good-hearted human individual. And yet he had some of the stuff that I had for years, some of the poverty complex, some of the want to be nice, need to be liked kind of thing. And after 8 years with me, he still was only seeing half as many patients as I was. So he wasn't bringing profit to the practice. His presence was his, yeah, it was costing the practice to keep him on. And I was right at the point of converting from insurance to cash, which was a big gulp for me because I thought that was only other people who could do that, like a different kind of doctor who could run an all cash practice, not me. Um, and as we were going into just beginning that conversion, I looked at the numbers and looked at that, that his salary was weighing the practice down, and that I had a CA who had been with me for 5 years, also a wonderful hearted person, but her poverty complex was making it really hard for her to not apologize for us pulling out of insurance, and not get really awkward with patients. No matter how much I worked with her on that, it was still like something she couldn't take a stand for. And I was going through, I was looking for a Loom video in my Loom account to share with somebody, some training video or something. And I happened to look back to like one of the really old ones, and this is pretty humbling and pretty embarrassing, but it was a video that I sent to Josh where it was, I don't know, 5, 6 minute video, and I was broken. I was in tears. I was frustrated. I was confused. I was in despair about how how hard I try, how much I try to do the right thing, and still here I am on the verge of having to shut down the practice. So about 3.5 years ago, and um, just needing somebody who could hear it, that I could just lay it out to. And um, a couple of days after that was when with some coaching from my coaches there at Patient Mastery, when I decided, okay, I'm going to have to let those two go, those two primary folks, Tracy and Dr. Laughlin. And so I let them both go on the same day. And it was one of the worst days of my life. I felt like the most horrible person, the biggest failure. And then the next day, honestly, was one of the best days of my life because there was something inside me that had known for a long time that's what needed to be done for the practice, but I couldn't face being the bad guy. And with enough coaching, I finally got present to, it's not, these people will be okay. By the way, both of them are still alive today, even though I let them go. And they're doing great. And sometimes you can't see that from the other side. And that's where having a coach who can kind of hold your hand and say, hey, take a leap here, and I got you on the other side. And that was the beginning of me growing into the kind of doctor who could like really own being a cash practice, who could speak with confidence to patients when they ask the insurance question or the pricing question, or, you know, when I'm presenting a $4,000 or $5,000 treatment plan to a patient, and being able to just be with it and not feel apologetic or scared or anything, and being okay with people saying no. So it was kind of a revelation when I came across that video and watched it again, like bringing me back to where I was in that place and the place that I am right now, and helping me be that much more like in tune with others who are in that place of like really deep struggle, and a recognition that it doesn't matter how horrible it feels, it doesn't have to stay that way.
Well said. Thank you, Vince.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, the first question, Vince, I have for you is before we even dive into where your practice is now for the group, is what do you feel? And you don't have to get this right whatsoever. I'm just curious before I dive in, what do you feel is currently your biggest constraint or preventing you from getting to your next level? And what does that next level actually look like? Like, let's say it's 12 months from now,
Mm.
whether it's how you feel in practice, numbers. So, two-part question. What do you think? And you could say, like, I have no idea. That's fine. But what do you think? And what specifically does your next level look like? Let's say it's 12 months from now.
Mm. What comes to mind right off, the first thing that came to mind, and this is not what I'm going to go with, but is team leadership, like being willing to like set a new and higher set of expectations for my team, not higher like necessarily better, but like adding certain responsibilities, and still being afraid of being seen as the bad guy. Um, so that's there, but I would say the biggest thing is a systematic new patient generation process. Last month we had 27 new patients, with a little higher than normal conversion rate of 81%. And that contributed hugely to our record month. Um, and yet this month, I think so far this week, we've had like two or something. And so largely, I do stuff, but it's not systematic and it's not broad enough that I can count on the new patient numbers being relatively consistent. I kind of
Good.
hope.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. By the way, who hand raise if like you can relate to what he just said? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then what does your next leap? What do you think it looks like? What do you want it to look like? What's a just a summary of that?
My staff, two of them at Dallas, on their paper, they wrote, hire a new CA. And I'm looking at our numbers and the number of like gaps and light schedule, and I'm like, heck no. We don't, y'all just need to, when it's light, you don't just sit around and chat. Like that's when you do your admin stuff. You block it off and stuff. So um, I'm not seeing that at all. I'm going to say, and again, this is not the answer to that question. This is the answer to that question maybe a year from now, and that would be bringing on an associate.
Okay.
But but not to do it a year from now, but to answer that question a year from now would be okay. Now we're going to really work towards bringing on a new associate. So right now it's more of the firming up the foundation so that a new associate will come in and be able to thrive. And so I'm not sure how to answer the question kind of quantitatively, qualitatively. My numerical goal for this year is 1.25 million. And we're a little behind on that right now, but we've still got, a few more months like last month and, totally knock that out of the park. So I, I really could see us at 1.5 million by next year, like completing that, with the completion of next year, being there. And Like next level would be consistently seeing in the, 28 to 32 new patients per month, um, with at least maintaining my conversion rate, which over the last 3 years that I have good solid stats on, it's stayed right at 74, 75%. Um, there's a couple of thoughts on that. I'm sure there's a lot more,
Good.
but yeah.
Okay, so this is the first lesson for everyone, just based on the first question I asked Vince, is notice how he gave answers and they had specifics, but it did take some wondering and it didn't just come fly right off his tongue of, okay, this is what my next level looks like quantitatively and qualitatively. Hey, we got some answers 1.5, having an associate 28 to 32 new patients. However, one of the factors of moving towards where you want to go get to as quickly and as easily as possible is just knowing where you want to get to. We talked about that briefly in Dallas. We talked about, hey, first thing is believing you deserve it, whatever it is. Next is what exactly is that? And so, Vince, right there, I'd say there's more opportunity to journal, meditate, brainstorm, speak with team, um, on what's exactly my next level look like outside of what you already shared, but also how it feels. Like, do you want to be adjusting exactly as much with an associate, or do you want to be able to pull back some? Um, Really important. Okay, with that, I want to dive in and share my screen. Give me a thumbs up when you can see my iPad with the collections breakthrough chart. Okay, awesome. So the first thing I want to reference is some of you may have not looked at this in a while for yourselves. Some of you have hopefully not, never seen this, but we're looking at the collections breakthrough chart right here. And this, first off, is the first navigating character. We're looking at what monthly collections are you averaging? Are you stuck below 20,000, 40,000, 60,000, or 84,000? Now, Vince, who's averaging, let's just say 95,000 a month right now for the year, is clearly above this chart. So he or anyone may think, oh, well, he's already surpassed that. How could that benefit? Even though Vince is currently operating here, it doesn't mean that he's successfully doing everything below. And just like any aspect of growth, um, scratch that. When Vince, and we'll look at this today, anything in this category or this category that he's not currently doing is only going to strengthen and fuel him raising further. Just because he's already gotten past these collections levels, if everything isn't strong, that's an anchor, a weight, or a leaky, a leak in the bucket, a leak in the ship from going even further and stronger. So just like if you're stuck at 50, you may be focusing on only these things and not realizing, hey, some of these things and maybe some of these things you're not even doing, and everything's worth looking at. Now, it doesn't mean every single thing has to be done perfectly and checked off, but it's always worth looking at, hey, what may be my anchor? What may be my leak? Vince, that makes sense?
Yes, totally.
Okay.
It's
Um,
just, it makes me think of when I was looking at getting into mastermind and I'm like, yeah, but I don't have everything like already at this level done and being implemented. And you're like, no, you won't. Like, it's not about being perfect in order to step into a higher level. And even when you're there, like continue to do the basics like all pro teams do.
100%. I hear that a lot from docs. Oh, I need to be a certain level until I get the best coaching I could get. No, the best coaching you can get is going to get you to your next level. And this is for everyone in any scenario. There's never going to be a right time in life for whatever you're up to next. You decide, hey, I want to get to a certain level. Life adapts. Life is never going to give you the perfect quarter to be like, oh, everything's calm. So I put your name here, Dr. Vince Bauer. You're in Texas. And what you just said, I wrote down that your thought is team leadership and expectations and a systematic new patient generation process. Now, let's start off with an analysis of your practice. Um, let's start off with where are you averaging right now, like rev and profits or percentage?
So I've got my stats right here. Um, the kind of sharing the range as well as the average, which the average is right about 95K per month, but the range this year alone has gone from 70K per month to 116K. So not the consistency, and yet I frequently remind myself, Josh said it's not going to be, just up and up every time. Like even the best businesses do fluctuate. And so profits tend to average about 35K per month.
Awesome. Okay, so we know what level you're operating at. Tell us about the patients you focus on and your treatment approach. What kind of treatments do you do?
So those of you guys who know my clinic name, it's the Spinal Decompression and Chiropractic Center. So a solid 85% of our patients get spinal decompression. We still treat, kids and adults who, just need adjustments, or occasionally will, in their stabilization phase of care, their ongoing care, that they convert to just adjustments. But the vast majority of them get decompression. And whether that's cervical decompression, lumbar decompression, or about 15% of them are what we call our double Ds, where they get both decompressions. We added shockwave about a year and a half ago. It was major contribution to our practice. Like so many conditions that I was kind of mediocre at, chronic hip degeneration, chronic knee arthritis, tennis elbow, plantar fasciitis. It makes me look good. And we charge, I'm feeling like, oh, maybe this is way too little based on what I think as Lauren said. We charge $90 per session for decompression, for a single decompression or for shockwave per region. And um, and so we'll probably see about 6 to 8 or so shockwaves per day. And so that's contributed, obviously, really nicely to our overall increased collections and profit. And with Shockwave Centers of America, I know there's other really good ones out there, but paying only $6,000 for a unit, we made that up in like 3 months.
Cool.
Yeah.
So these are primarily like these three treatment protocols are okay. And
We do a little
hopefully,
cold laser, not much.
okay, I won't even include it. Hopefully, all of you saw what I dropped into the Facebook group last week was this understanding on this bell curve. I'll just really quickly of if this is income and this is services. What I find is Chiro only plus 1 to 2 modalities or 3+. This is the sweet spot. And Vince fits right in there with adjustments plus 2 modalities of where docs usually have the most income. Now, it's not the only way to increase your income, but there are side effects to resistances of being Chiro only or getting too complicated and confusing for yourself, your team, and patients when you start adding more and more and more. So just, Vince, I'm sharing that because you fit perfectly into this model. Okay, moving on next to, oh, and what are the other fees? So you said 90 per, what is the adjusting fees?
73.
73. And with that, can you go over like what are your range of care plan values?
So on that bell curve, so ranging from 2922, I'll just give round numbers, from 2,900 to 6,300.
Okay.
Of course, there's some that are less, some that are more, but yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Uh approach. Tell us about who's on your team, what's their role, and what's their pay.
So Ryan has been with me for 7 years. He is business manager, and he's at 33 an hour.
Yeah.
and he put together a a very detailed set of lots of stats, nicely compiled, so that any question you ask me, Josh, I will likely have the resource.
Great.
um, Chrissy has been with me the same length of time. She's part-time, like a quarter time, HIPAA compliance and IT. And she's on disability, so she is maxed out at 1,600 per month.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, just keep going through each team member.
then I've got Lita. Uh, she's my two T's. Um, she's primarily therapy. The rest of these are going to be therapy slash front desk, but she's primary therapist. Been with me for like 3 years, and she's at 27 an hour.
Okay.
Her sister Lawan, um, been with me about 3 years, and she is front desk therapy.
And pay rate.
26.
Okay.
And then Elena, Elena, front desk therapy. She's my primary front desk person. She's at 27 an hour. She started the same time as Lawan. She makes $1 more because she's bilingual. And then Sarir, Sarir, and she's part-time, and she is therapy front desk,
Okay.
and she's been with me for just over a year, and she's at 24 an hour.
Right. And by the way, while I'm going through these, if anyone has a clarifying question, just drop it in the chat for now. Um, what's your weekly schedule, Vince? Practice
Um,
schedule.
so Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5:30. And we've got a 2 hour lunch break in there, which is a little longer on Tuesdays and Thursdays because of Rotary and another meeting.
Okay.
And then Friday mornings, I see new patients. That's 8 to 1.
Okay.
And I'll just have one CA with me on those days.
And is this also Friday morning if you're not actively in the patient's CEO time?
Friday afternoon typically is CEO time. But yes, if I'm not, like this morning, I had 0 new patients.
Yeah.
And so I just told Sarir don't come in and just CEO time.
Okay.
I was
And
preparing for a special webinar audit.
yeah. And what team meetings do you do?
Mondays we do from
Or what type? It doesn't matter the timing, like just what
okay,
type of
yeah.
meetings? Yeah.
So Monday weekly team meeting.
Okay. What else?
Every morning we do team huddle.
Okay.
And then once a week, I we do what Ryan likes to call CEFO meeting. It's CEO and CFO meeting.
Okay. Meet with Ryan,
Yeah.
manager,
Yeah.
higher level meeting.
Just started that probably about 3 months ago.
Good.
Really beneficial. It is what has taken me a lot from flying by the seat of my pants and trying to manage everything to much more systematic thinking, planning, and delegating.
Um, and there's a question: how did you make the decision to pay them all north of $23 an hour? Do you have a relatively quick answer to that?
Um, in consultation with Ryan, what I came up with was no longer basing a person's pay on what did they make before and what do I think I can get them for, but rather standardizing it. everybody starts at 20 bucks an hour. And then there are certain certifications that earn you more, as well as time with the business that earns you bumps.
Got it. Cool. Okay. Your new patient experience, is it 1 day, 2 day? What does that look like?
Used to be 2 day when I was with insurance. Now it's 1 day, and I absolutely love that.
Uh, how much is your exam
Uh,
on average or range?
the new patient exam and X-rays 165.
165 exam and x-rays. Um, how long does it take you to do the 1 day process approximately?
An hour.
Okay, 60 minutes. Um, you do the exam and x-rays. How long from when that's finished to when you go over the recommendations?
I tell the patient I'm going to take 10 to 15. I used to say I'm going to ask that you give me 10 to 15 minutes, but then I started changing my language over the last 3 months. So I'm going to take 10 to 15 minutes to analyze everything and put together a full report for you. And you can go and get dressed and I'll come take you. So during that 10 to 15 minutes, typically I'll have like one patient already here that I'll go and adjust. That'll take 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes um, to uh, to tailor the spreadsheet um, to exactly what that patient needs, which usually just takes a few little edits and then pop it out. And one thing I started doing just recently over the last like 3 months also is on the treatment plan putting a line that says goals, and that's where I put the third essential,
Right.
along with almost always the last one is avoid spine surgery. And
Nice.
that seems to like really land things well. Oh, I've been heard, and oh, yes, I do want to avoid spine surgery.
Okay. And then how long does it usually take to go over your recommendations?
About 10 minutes.
Okay. And then you go over the financials or one of your team members?
I do.
Okay. With
Used
money.
to be scared of that, but
Yep.
now it's like really simple.
Awesome. Okay. And last question for this section. What's your average like weekly volume range?
Like patient visits.
Yes. Yes.
So about 45 per day. So what does that put it at? Actually, it's a little less than that. So average weekly is about 165.
Got it. Total visits. Awesome. I love that. Anything else you feel I'm leaving out or any other just aspects of Vince's practice you want to know? You could drop it in the chat or just unmute and shout. Just like we're just talking right now, like a synopsis of his practice. We're not doing the audit yet. And Vince, now this is the time if you want to like uh, I'll stop my screen share. Vince wants to actually give you a 90-second tour of his practice so you can actually see where the magic happens.
Yeah, like the physical. It's just a drawing, but
Oh, I thought
before
you were going to take us throughout. That's what I
um,
thought.
we could do that. I'll do whichever works better for people. But one additional thing that I wanted to add is bonusing.
Yeah.
So I have for a long time had a profit sharing program because I want my team to be able to benefit from the profits that they help to generate. But we've struggled because of having a $95,000 per month goal and me um, giving profit sharing on whatever quarterly we collect above that. And because we fluctuate so much, it's ended up where I think it's been one quarter in the last 2 years that they've actually gotten profit sharing. So we're looking at doing it more based on a threshold of patient visits per week, and then bonusing on that each week because PV feels like it's more within their direct control than collections necessarily is. So we're trying that out. We still haven't hit bonuses yet, and I really want to be able to. I want my team to, really thrive.
Good.
So that was that one extra thing. I'll share the
Now, hold on. Before going, there was a question about your 165. It was asked, is that adjustment only or with therapies? Now, yes, I like that you gave a thing. So the real question is first, you shouldn't charge any new patient any amount for treatment before you speak to them, a consult, before you examine them. That's one of the sabotages of putting the cart before the horse that sabotages reputation and perception. The 165 is just for the examination. Complimentary consult, 165 for examination and x-rays. And then if the doctor feels can help, here's the recommendations and here's the fees. So it does not include either an adjustment or therapies. Another question is how many new patient slots on average do you have a week and how many for the Friday?
total of 32 per week. Um, Whoa, 32 per week, 32 per month. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
like 8 new patient slots.
yeah, it's 9 new patient slots, but there's always like one Friday a month or something that may be closed or whatever. So yeah, 9 per week.
How many are you willing to do on the Friday mornings if they all
Four.
filled?
Four.
Okay. And then the other question is, see, okay. Sean, 165 patient visits per week, not the cost. Oh, got it. So does the 160 or so visits a week, is that just adjustments or adjustments with therapies? I'm assuming that's just total visits.
Yeah, it's people who walked in for services. So there are a few patients who get just decompression or just shockwave on a particular visit. In particular, there are some who see their chiropractor for their adjustments, but they come here. The the chiro refers them here for decompression. Or a few patients who just can't afford the full treatment plan. And I'm like, you know what? What you really most need is the decompression. And if that's all that you can do, let's just do that.
Cool.
Friday mornings are only for new patients, and an exception occasionally if it's an emergency, but really designed for new patients.
So Vince, what you wanted to show is a mock-up of your flow, like whatever
Yeah,
you want to
just
show
a
now.
layout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
And I'm happy to like pull my phone up and walk you guys through if there is the request for that. So
By the
let's
way,
see.
while he's pulling that up, just Vince, you do what you're doing. If you're on here and not Vince, just from what Vince has shared so far of literally just a synopsis of his practice, uh, throw a yes in the chat if you've gotten value just from seeing how another doc is doing it and the level they're playing at. Awesome.
Can you guys see my screen?
It just loaded. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's the parking lot is kind of out here. And so front door, and this is like I spent 2 hours putting this together this morning because however many years, 16 years or whatever in this place, and I still didn't have an actual drawing of layout. So the seating is not exactly like this, but anyway, there's kind of the seating area here. Here's where my front desk team work. So patients come in, they check in, they're sent back to either adjusting room 1 or adjusting room 2. Um, Here's my office, nice and centrally located, easy to get to this adjusting room, or this special room in between times. So we got those 2 restrooms there. Um, we've got our shockwave room right here. This is Ryan's office, business manager office. This room, we do laser. Um, this room's kind of extra room. We don't use it a whole lot. So there's a little room for expansion there. The beautiful blue colors, those are our 7 decompression tables. Um, and here's our exam and x-ray room. This is, so behind the front desk area are a couple of workstations. Um, and here's prayer room. Um, what is this? Oh, just our washer dryer and our ice box. What do you call that? Freezer.
Cool.
Little area for staff. break. Any questions? Oh, and massage. I don't hire massage therapists. There's a massage studio, a very successful massage studio here in town. The owner of it's real close, like BFF of mine. So she rents this room for 575 a month. More valuable is that she has 3 or 4 different therapists who work here and who also work at the main office and her main office. And so we've got plenty of fresh human bodies coming in here as well as regulars, and we get to just love on them, no pressure at all, just making them feel welcome. Right here is our snack bar, which I always love to to encourage people to take from, including every FedEx delivery guy, every UPS delivery guy, every cold call salesperson who ignores our no soliciting please sign up here. Everybody's encouraged, grab a drink, grab a snack. So that's pretty much the overall. They come in to get adjusted. I ding my little doorbell and my CAs come and they'll take them and scoot them back here and put them on decompression, and then maybe they'll get shockwave and then head back out over here. So
Any
any
question on Vince's layout or flow for clarity? And Vince, anything you would change if like you just had could snap your fingers to change it?
um not not specifically that I can think of generally, and I don't have an answer to this, and that is I don't know where to put an associate doc.
Hmm.
Um, so like because if I have an office, there's the assumption he or she would have an office and also 2 adjusting rooms, which I really encourage. If you got a CA, an associate, they should have 2 adjusting rooms. So I'm not quite sure like where to fit that in.
Anyone see the obvious area? Just curious, based on the obvious area I see, where to put or how to change something if and when he brings on an associate.
That
If you
laser
see,
room would look real nice for an associate room. If you have to have one. That's if you have to give him an office, you know. Hopefully he's in
you said,
adjusting rooms all day.
well, you did. Okay, I wasn't thinking that. You did say you're hardly using laser anymore, so that's a spot. I don't know
Definitely
how.
obvious
Yeah,
one.
that. Anyone else? John Gray, massage room. I'm going to agree with John because Vince, you said you make 575 a month off of renting that room out, and you will make hopefully tens of thousands by having an associate. So, not to hurt the relationship. This is just business evolution. We'll still refer to you, cross refer. We just don't. We need that room, and so I don't know if you could fit 2 tables in that massage area or at least another high row room. Uh, that's yeah, that's a definite answer. The massage right then is blocking you from your growth. Now that's not the audit, but you brought that up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's one of those gulp, don't want to have that conversation, but it's one that I could go ahead and bring up now that in maybe a year and a half, that would be the direction to go.
Totally. And maybe so one of the best understandings I've learned in my growth is I'm going to butcher the sentence, but ultimately the growth that's stopping you the the growth that you're stopped from having is the conversations you're not having.
You're
It's from the
avoiding
harder conversations you're not having. So Vince, you just said that's a conversation I want to avoid. You by having that conversation a year plus in advance of letting her know this is something that could happen in the cards could have her pull out sooner, which then forces you to take the step for the associate rather than keeping things going at status quo. Just giving you an example.
yeah.
Okay, Vince, let's stop your share. And I want to go into hyperspeed mode as we go into the audit now, because I know you have your numbers. So I'm going to share my screen again. And so first thing I want you to go over, Vince, is number of new patients on average a month or the range and the generalities of where they're coming from, what sources these new patients are coming from.
Yeah. So the range this year would be 8 to 27, and we averaged 19 per month.
Okay.
The majority of those, like probably right at 50% or a little more, come from Google.
And we're not talking Google Ads, just random Google. Or are
We
you?
there's about four. We started running Google Ads about 3 months ago, and we're averaging four that we can trace directly to Google Ads
Per month or overall?
per month.
And how much are you spending on the ads a month?
750. No, it's been 900. We're going up to 1,000. So we'll just call it 1,000.
But it has been 900.
It has been 900.
Okay. So this is important. 900 a month would equal 225 per new patient via Google Ads. This is really important because I want to come back to this.
Okay.
Okay. Outside of that 50, what else? 50%.
So probably 35% are direct patient referrals.
Okay. And do you have any systematized way you and your team influence more referrals, or is it just organic and random?
Um, Pretty random. If there is it's a fairly reactive approach where if a patient does say, "Hey, I really need to get my husband in," then I'll walk them up and say, "Hey, Lita, can you give Judy a gift card for $100 off that new patient visit? So it's only 65 instead of 165."
Got it.
But it's
So
not
I would say
something
yes,
that I tend
it's
to bring.
reactively like you're not sending these once a quarter. That's one strategy. I don't know if you're sending them to new patients with a welcome letter, but you are giving gift cards when people mention something positive or, you know, could you help my husband, for instance? So that is
Honestly, not
legitimate, though.
Yeah, honestly, not even something positive, and I know that is a strategy, but just if they mention a name.
Sure. Uh, and what's the other 15%?
Uh, we get a few MD referrals, we get a few Soma massage referrals. Like I said, having the massage traffic coming in, um, and some drive-bys. We've got decent street signage.
Okay.
That's pretty much it, except for the random thing.
Okay. Awesome. Uh, what's your new patient show up rate? Like, are the majority of people who schedule an appointment showing up, or is there an issue there? And if there is, or if not, do you take a deposit, a credit card down, anything like that?
Yeah. So I would say our show up rate is 100% of those who pay the deposit. There are some who schedule online that we have a hard time, yeah, actually getting a hold of.
Yeah. What's the deposit amount?
50.
Okay. Okay. And but the majority do pay the deposit.
Yeah.
Okay, so no issue there. Well, I'm just gonna say that's, you know, okay, continuing down what we'll call a funnel. Um, you had said, I believe, your care plan conversion is right around 75%.
Uh-huh.
And that's, all cash, and I would say quality fees. You're not. I would also say, based on all cash and quality fees, by doing that, this is very quality. Uh, what about completion of care plans?
90% of those who start a care plan complete it.
All right, I like that.
Yeah. I did not know that. Ryan just generated that, and I that's either 80 or 90 because I just read that this morning, and I need to figure out how to get out of this screen so that I can pull that up.
All right. How about continuing care after initial care plan?
50%.
Okay.
Sorry. So correction, completion percentage of care plan is 79%.
Hmm. What was the 90? Was that for another number?
It's wishful thinking.
Okay. You said 79?
Mhm.
All right. Let's just call it 80%. And I'm going to say yellow for that one then. Why did it do you? And then continue past initial care plan is 50% correct?
Right.
Okay. There. Just going to highlight that in yellow. And do you focus on wellness maintenance continuation like subscriptions, or is it packages? What do you do for ongoing?
So after going over a patient's progress report, um, I say, keep, keep doing the great work, whatever you make me look good. And Elena will go over ways that you can save money on your future care. And when they finish their therapies and they check out, she will present to them both membership and package options. And I've been kind of bummed because we've been staying right at about $8,000 per month on memberships and not growing. But when Ryan put this together, a lot more patients do packages than do memberships. And so I consider that an equal victory there.
Do you know what you're averaging that a month? If it's even though it's not on subscription, just based on the revenue that's generated, like it sounds like it's more than 8K because you say it's going well. What would you say it's
Yeah.
increased to?
Um, I don't know if this is a direct way to answer that, but those who 50% of our monthly revenue comes on average from those committing to a care plan. And
Yeah.
so the other 50% comes from otherwise. Sometimes that's just a drop in, but a lot of those are packages.
Got it. Oh, and I just saw a good question that I missed when we were going over your care plans.
Yeah.
Is what's your range of care plan timing over here?
Oh, 6 to 12 weeks.
So 6 to 12 weeks.
Yeah. The vast majority of them are 6 to 9 weeks.
Cool. All right. Good question. Okay. I'm going to also, for the sake of time, just here, when I put this arrow down, that meant obviously a new patient chronologically comes before showing up, comes before getting recommended a care plan, before completing a care plan, or continuing down. So this arrow just means the higher up you go in, you know, any funnel, the higher up you go, the more people and options of fixing there is. So we're always going to start from the top down. Looking at where I highlighted in green, the show up percentage of nearly 100%, there's nothing you need to focus and tweak there. Care plan conversion at 75% for all cash, quality high fees at 75%, you're still doing awesome. Completion of care plans, 80%. Vince, I would want that to be closer to 90, just based on your intentionality, quality of bedside manner, care. So that's something that we can talk separately, but maybe it's table talk. Um, just like for some reason, I don't like how 1 out of 5 people are not finishing the care plan and that side, but that's something that has some improvement. The main thing I'm seeing right here is first off, for a one doc practice, averaging 19 patients a month with your numbers, you're doing phenomenal, obviously. However, you want to get to your next level and include an associate. An average of 19 visits a month, where some of them, could be 8 to 10, that's not enough to sustain bringing an associate on. We want well over 20 new patients a month on average, easily, to justify an associate, assuming you as the doctor want to stay on pretty much full time. So this is the main area, Vince, for you, that in terms of this audit, I want you to be focusing on. And when you told me that half your new patients come from Google, and it's a combination of organic Google searching for you. I know you do a great job with um, reviews. How many do you have? About
370, around 370.
yeah, 370. I'm sure you respond to all of them. Uh, you're active in the community, like your name is known. But right here, the fact that you want to increase new patients, you want to have it more systematically, and over the past few months, you've been putting 900 towards Google Ads, which are generating four, which means an average of 225 a new patient. Now, if look at this, 3 out of 4 patients, right? 3 out of 4 new patients start. That means, now I'm blanking out. Either way, this number is almost too good to be true based on your rates. So look, we're looking at 3 out of 4 people begin something in there. So let's say like 35 to 5K is more of an average range, right? So 3,500 to 5K. And literally, we're talking each one of these 225s. Well, let's say 1 out of 4 doesn't start, but 3 out of 4 do. Mm-hmm. So let's say for 900 ad pay, you get 3 patients to start instead of 4. 3 patients times 3,500 to 5K, we're talking 10 to 15K ROI on a $900 ad spend. That is phenomenal. We're talking about a 10 to 16x ROI. So the first thing, Vince, the easiest first thing is increasing. And I know you said you're going to go from 900 to 1,000. Mm-hmm. I would easily just start with 1,500 plus as your next bump because it's working so well. Now, I don't like when marketers say, you've probably heard this, if you put $1 into the system and you get back 2 or more, how much would you put in? All the money in the world. That's not how it works. At a certain point, the returns don't keep happening the same way. The system breaks. So that ridiculous sentiment just confuses a lot of people. But you can start easily creeping up until you notice, hey, we've hit our max, because there will be a max based on Google Ads in your area. You can't just go to infinity. Right. But the easiest thing for you to do right now is increasing that, because it doesn't take any more of your time, any more of your energy. And until you notice, now we're not getting a 10x, we're getting a 2x. First off, it's probably still worth it, but there's a lot of time to notice that, where you can be getting a lot more new patients, helping a lot more people, making a lot more, even while the ROI multiple reduces. Hmm. Does this make sense? Clear how simple of this is where to look without a doubt right now?
Yeah.
Does everyone else see that as obvious? John writes, Vince, do you manage your own ad spend, or do you pay someone a fee on top of the ad spend?
I've got a patient who does our website and does that for me, and so I pay him a fee.
Okay. And is that on top of the 900?
Yes. Yeah, it's on top of it.
It sounds like it's not much. Let's just, if we were to adapt, let's say you're still probably getting an 8 to 14, or 8 to 14x ROI. It's still insane.
Yeah.
Are you seeing this as clearly as I am, that you should not be bumping up 100? You should be probably just doubling this. And the goal is that instead of 4, you're getting 8 to 10 from doubling it. And it is so worth the extra 1,000 in ad spend.
Yeah.
Another 4 or 5 new patients, even if 75% convert.
Yeah.
So going back to our trusty chart, I want you to look at something right here. Vince has an 8-player team. Vince does leadership training. I know he didn't talk about it, but he does retreats with his team, like extra time. Vince has CEO time. Vince has higher value care fees. Vince has $1 million mindset. How do I know? Because he's already surpassed $1 million. Vince has impact, dedication, and he's not doing this out of ego and more money just for the sake of more money. That's not Vince. Elite peer group. Vince is in CEO Mastermind the last 2 to 3 years. Right here, Vince, is what we were talking about over the last 5 minutes. New patient marketing ROI. If you looked at this, or Ryan, like I'm looking at this now, you would have bumped this up 2 months ago. And bumped it up a lot more than $100. Like, let's test. It seems like it's going well. And part of that, I'm going to say, well, owner associates, you're on the lookout for the associate, but even role clarity, that's something for you, Vince, of having to direct Ryan to look at the stats and numbers like this. So that's an area of like, Ryan probably doesn't even know to look at it like this. These two are absolutely your easiest next right move. And that is so much easier than, let's say, a whole new marketing plan and agenda of meeting X number of people more per month, doing more talks, I know you don't want to do screenings, but like, there's infinite number of things you could be doing for marketing, and probably 98% of them you don't want to be doing. Increasing your ad budget and having a team member stay on top of that is absolutely doable and easy. Vince, what are you hearing? And then I want to hear what other people are hearing. What are you hearing first?
Couple of things. One is the obvious low-hanging fruit that only costs me money and a small percentage of my money as opposed to time. And I am doing my first spinal screening in a year tomorrow morning at a run. Also that like Ryan absolutely loved the rigorous work that he had to do to prepare for this. And so my hesitancy to put more on him that's in this realm, like actively looking at this kind of ROI, like it doesn't make sense, and that's me seeing him small.
Wait, you're saying by asking him to look at it this way, you feel it'll come off as making him small?
No. That I've hesitated to say, hey, by the way, this is part of your responsibility. You're great with the numbers and not just calculating, but also analyzing. I want you to keep your eye on new patient generation, what's working, what's costing and not paying off, and what we should increase or decrease.
Cool. So you'll have that conversation.
Yeah.
Awesome. Everyone else in the chat, what's the one most important thing you've got from analyzing and dissecting Vince's practice over the last hour? Throw in the chat. What's the one most important thing you got for yourself, not what you saw for Vince? Kevin, clarity. Matt and Jackie, continue to raise fees. Shane, I need to analyze ads better. And by the way, we all do. It's definitely tough at a small business level where you're not a corporation. You don't have someone who's just like an ads person, and there's also a lot more volume to analyze. It's definitely tougher, but there's always more ability to lean in to it. Laura, all the things. Matt, makes sense that being at the level he is checks almost all boxes of top tier collection breakthrough chart. John, I need to get his website guy's number. Sean, I can have $1 million practice with my current new patient numbers. Excellent insight. Craig, look at my ads closer website. Nick, all around knowing how to audit our clinic. Yinka, new patient generation continues. Nice. Vince, what's a word of how you're feeling now?
Clarity.
Clarity. I like that. Nader, need to get Google Ads. Now again, be careful, because Vince has $1 million practice right now. Only 4 of his total new patients a month are coming from Google Ads. That's not making his practice. Let's just get clear on that. And I'm not saying Vince is going from 1 to 2 million by doubling his new patient, by doubling his Google ad spend. I'm saying he just wants to get more structure and clarity and a bump and more stability in new patients. And if 900 is getting him 4, he has easy room for growth there. That's just the easiest next thing to focus on for Vince. And bringing in an associate is a whole nother beast of doing that correctly. And that's something, if you've gone into the hiring rock stars, there's an associate hiring section. And right there should be 10 rules before you ever consider hiring an associate. If you can't check 8 of those at least, do not bring an associate on. And Vince, if you haven't looked at those recently, I know you're not looking to hire, put an ad out right now, but getting familiar with those will further build your focus of what muscles you need to start strengthening throughout the months before getting an associate. Josh, new patient numbers to be focused on. Luke, I need to keep an eye on insurance reimbursement and continue to improve care plans. Nader, Vince, how much are your subscriptions and for what? I think you said you moved from subscriptions to packages.
I offer both.
Okay.
So it's memberships are like for just an adjustment, it's like $4 off the adjustment or something like that. The more number of adjustments per month, the higher the percentage decrease, going down to about 15%, as well as the more number of like therapies. So if you get an adjustment, a double decompression twice a month, then you'll get like a 15 or 20% discount. I think 20% would be the max that we offer, or maybe it's 15% off. But that's kind of how we do our memberships. The packages are pretty much exactly the same kind of rates based on how big a package you get. Packages and memberships. I don't have a preference which direction a patient goes. So I want them to feel like, hey, whatever works better for me.
Okay, last question before we land this plane. Vince, how scary and rigorous was it going through this breakthrough audit?
A lot scarier beforehand. It
Okay.
was like a lot of gulps, you heard me say, but like the opportunity, honestly, just getting in this space, both with you and seeing so many of the docs who are on here as ones that I know and just feel really comfortable with, and who we've gotten to be vulnerable with each other. It just makes it like, okay, we're just talking as friends, and I just get to be the one who gets to be the center of attention and gets to share stuff and learn stuff that would be directly applicable to me. So actually really enjoyable.
Awesome. And the reason I asked is because when we shared over the last month or so that this was going to be a new call and asked who'd like to volunteer, there was only a handful. And I feel it's because people were nervous, like, oh, this is going to be a scary or exposing, vulnerable experience. And this is literally what it's like. Vince was one of the first. And I also chose him from a standpoint of seeing that even at what most docs would say, oh, if I had Vince's practice, I wouldn't think about anything. Like everything's all good. There's always areas to grow, things to improve. So Vince, thank you for being the first one to volunteer and offer. Clearly it's beneficial to you and everyone. And what I want to say to you now, after watching this live or as a recording, if you'd like to throw your hat in the ring for a future, we're doing this once a month right now, a future be in the seat that Vince is in, just text my team, hey, tell Josh I'd like to put my hat in the ring for a future breakthrough audit. I will tell you, it's not just, you don't have to be at $1 million practice whatsoever. But even though this isn't the main constituency of patient mastery, if you're just starting in practice, if self-admittedly you're new to patient mastery and you haven't got the foundations down, or it's like things are crumbling everywhere, like that's not who the audit is for. It's for the 80% in between where, okay, let's figure out the 1, 2, or 3 things you need to really lean in that you don't realize. And hopefully the one thing that's your blind spot that by doing this, you learn and a ton of other people learn. And it's not scary. And I'm here to help and make you look good. So with that, Vince, thank you again. You got a ton of thank yous in the chat without me even having to ask people to do it. And let's just finish this off with seeing in the chat, what's the one most important thing, one most fun thing you're looking forward to this weekend? Throw that in the chat. I'm going on a sailboat ride, taking the family. Looking forward to that. Long Island Sound. We've got rest. We've got birthday barbecue for Nick Haney. Is it today your birthday or the weekend?
It's tomorrow.
Okay. Happy early birthday. Vince first ever monthly guys game night at our house. Kevin motorcycle ride home. Matt family pool time and new Spider-Man movie. Shane pool time. Awesome, guys. Hey, this was, to me, a fantastic first practice member breakthrough audit and fantastic participation on all of your ends, like really good questions. So I look forward to continuing these, and everyone is going to be a different style of practice, different stuck points, different level of practice, and everyone's here to learn, even if you're not in the seat. So I'm excited for introducing this. You guys rock. You need anything, I am right here. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week.
So appreciate all of you guys, really.
Thank you.